G'day guys, welcome back to another episode. In this episode I am going to give a quick service, not a full service, an intermediate service, the sort of service that you will do at home in between sending your reel off for a major service. Going to be servicing this fella here, and as you can see from this close-up that it's quite neglected. It's been sitting on the shelf for a while and it was dirty and filthy when it went away. So we're going to jump in now and have a look at how to give this an intermediate service, which is not a full service, just a bit of oil and grease and a clean up, to keep it lasting longer and make sure that you get the best life out of your reels. Well guys, I've got the reel here. You'll see I've got a tray. This has a lip all the way around it. The reason for that is if I drop anything, I don't want it to go too far. Then I've got a towel so that if it goes outside of that, it won't bounce on the towel and should stop, because you don't want to lose any parts. That would be horrific. I've got a cleaning rag. I have finesse screwdrivers, PH1 and smaller, and some flatheads, cotton buds. And off there I've got a spanner, I've got reel oil and reel grease, right? So reel oil and reel grease, just get that online, doesn't matter what brand, as long as it's designed for the small gears and bearings and things like that. You don't just want to go out to shed and use normal oil. And you want some proper reel cleaner, which I don't have today. So don't do this at home. For the example, I'm just going to use some inox, but I'm not spraying this in the gears or inside. It's just to clean the outside and the scum and that sort of stuff. So, but get some proper reel cleaner. Don't use this. That's a terrible idea. It's easier if you unspool your reel, but it's not necessary. This is a Daiwa Chachula TWS HLC. It's actually quite a nice little reel. It's landed quite a few fish, so I'm very happy with it. But it's very dirty and getting very old. So first things first is you'll see inside here on this style of reel, you need to undo that there. So just crack that. You can do it with a coin or a big screwdriver, but sometimes this little screwdriver will manage. Yep. So the little screwdriver has just managed to crack that there, and you undo that. So undo that until it pops, and then it's got a spring, it pushes it out and it holds it, and then you should be able to push that front part, that's how dirty it is, down. Pushes down like that. Right, down, and then it just wiggles off gently. Ooh, it looks nice in there. Alright, very nice. Now, place that away from you, over there. When you pull everything, every time we pull something out, we're going to place it in order towards us, so when we put it back together, it goes in the right order. Now I'm just going to have to unhook my line, because I've got line on. Pull my line back in. Right, spool comes out, so there's my spool, and that's what I said, it is a lot easier without line on it, but anyway, that's another issue altogether. Sit that there. So now we've got a hollow reel, right, and we could actually start cleaning, because you get in around here and in here, right, and the reel's not in the way for you to like get through and do that. But I'm gonna look at that, gross, right? So you can get right into it now with the reel out of the way, but I'm going to continue pulling it to bits so we can give it a really good clean. So if you want to see how I do the rest, keep watching. So this screw is simply just holds this plate on, And this plate is a locking plate to stop the nut coming loose so your handle doesn't fall off. So we just crack that, undoes, boop boop, like that. Sit that over there. This plate should be pretty loose. Yep, just got my nail under it, slides up. And I don't think it matters which way that goes, but with everything I pull out of the reel, I pull it out off that way, I put it down that way, and slide it over there. Then I know that when I put it back on, that's the way it came off. Now, get your spanner and crack this nut here. That's the nut that holds your handle on. Crack that. Now you'll notice on this one, it seems to be left-hand thread. So just be mindful, because the last reel I pulled to bits was right-hand thread, so you don't want to just reef on it. It won't be super tight because it has the locker on it. So just make sure you try the other way. You don't want to strip the thread out of it. Take the nut off, place it down, the handle should pop off. Washer. And this drag is already, washer. And the drag here, drag star is already off. So on some of them you have to undo it. On this one, it's come off, but I'm going to have to undo that bit. So drag star, spring. I'm going to need the spanner on that one. No, it wasn't even that hard actually. Yeah, so undo that one. Just make sure you keep track of everything in order. As you can see, it's a bit out of focus, but as you can see down there. Oh, now that washer, I just dropped the washer off the bottom, stuck to the bottom of that nut. So that goes that way, and that washer goes in front of that. This should slide off, and there'll be a couple of washers on top of there. See, I've pushed them forward, push it back, there's a couple of washers there. Right. I'm just going to pull that all off as one, keep it together. Oh no, I'm not, it's going to stick to me. Put that back in there. Right. That tiny little washer goes there. Now, that seems to be everything off from the handle. Your brake should simply just undo. Right. And there's a bit of a clean in there. That's it. Just comes straight off. So sit that down. I know where that goes, so sit that over there. And we've got it down to the case. Now I'm going to undo the side plate. On this reel there's 1, 2 and 3 screws. Just recall in of yourself, I think normally these two are shorter and the one up the top is longer. Just be mindful to keep note of that when you undo it. 3 screws the same length in this reel, so put them there. Just pulling that really gently off. Leaving it that way, because if you tip it over the springs all fall off and things fall out. Right, so there's the cover. Dust and stuff in that. Sit that down there. Because we've taken everything off that side, you can just sit that down there. Now, you don't really want to pull anything else apart out of here. This is about as far as you want to go. This is just a, like I said, an intermediate service. It's not to replace having the professionals do a service. You can see the inside of my reel is very dry, and it's got a little bit of rust in it, so it's had a bit of moisture in it. I'm just going to pop this off, but that's me. I don't recommend doing that. I just want to have a look. Right, so I'm going to clean one of the clean earbuds and just wipe some of this old grease and dirty garbage out from around here. Look at that. Ugh. That's grease is dry. Look at the filth coming out of that. Disgusting. Disgusting. A simple rule of thumb is once you've given it a clean up, cogs grease, bearings oil, right? A lot of guys, or some guys, put a little bit of bearing grease, cog grease in the bearing under here. You know, that's not something you have to do. It's not, well, it's not recommended by Daiwa. It won't really inhibit your reel. It will just make it free spin less, because grease is obviously coarser than oil. Some guys like it because they reckon it feels smoother, but according to Daiwa's recommendations, 1 drop of oil to bearings, not grease. Give that a real good clean. If you're going to use any sort of agent in here, make sure it's real cleaning agent. You notice so far I haven't actually used any foreign substances. I am just simply getting all the crap out. So if you guys at home, you can follow along with this to this point here if you want. If you're not comfortable, don't pull this little bit of stuff out. You'll still be able to get some oil on your bearings and get the scudge off the top, and just give it a general clean and make a difference to the whole inside, the whole inside of the reel. So don't feel that you have to go this far. You should be able to see this line, this white line in behind here. That's actually old grease that's gone hard. If you're confident at trying to clean it out, get rid of it. Just be really careful not to break anything. But this screwdriver actually fits in the cogs, so put it in the cog and then scrape it around. You can see it's got all that out of there. So that is disgusting. It doesn't seem like much, but these reels are such finely tuned machines that the slightest little bit of rubbish, dry grease or whatever, can make such a big deal to them. Been absolutely neglected, the poor thing. Look at that corrosion. Look at the corrosion of that on there. Terrible. Just trying to get in as much as I can, get it out. Give it a wash, or give it a clean, give it a scrub. Get all that grub out of it. That bit just sits back in there. A bit of this reel grease. Like I said, grease for cogs. That's heaps. Right, doesn't seem like much, that's tons. Get that in there. You don't want to go heavy with anything in a reel, you just want to make sure it's got enough lubrication to do the job. Just polished that up with a rag, as you can see. Now before I put that on, these might be plastic, but they're still cogs. Don't want to go overboard, just enough. Now a full service would pull these out and oil underneath them. I did just sneak a drop in the side there. Literally, when I say a drop, I mean a drop. 1 drop of oil. Goes back on there. And this is shaped. Oh. It's a shaped shaft, so it only goes on one spot. Make sure you line it up and get it on. I just wiped this off, and just a smear of clean grease back on that one. Down there, bang. Like I said, you guys don't have to do this bit. This is a bit in depth. Like, look at the scum on that. Alright, so I'm going to give that a good clean. Look at that. Look at that. That's just coming out of the edge of that gear. Gross. But it's not in there now, is it? So what we're going to do, tiny little bit, might be even a bit too much, just give that a smear as well. That goes on there. Got it on. This one looks pretty clean, so drop that on. That thing's filthy. Clean that up. Tiniest little bit of grease on there. Oh. Smear that on there and drop that on there. That's shaped. Boom. So now we're starting to put it back together. You'll see a couple of lugs. You see this has sort of lugs. They fit into these gaps. Oh. They fit into these gaps here. So when you slide it down, make sure to lock that in. Make sure to spin that around till it locks and drops in, see that? Alright, bang. Now you are back in business. So you want to put a bit of grease. Obviously this is a gear, don't overdo it. That's probably heaps for the whole way around. And just spread it around. Just give it a roll around. It should roll itself through both gears and start to be very, very nice. It's starting to look pretty evenly spread around there and feeling like it's got a bit of grease through it the whole way around. So that's good. Now with our oil, there's a couple of moving parts in here. When you put your thumb drive down, you literally just drops. So I just want one drop there, a drop where the where that little nut is, right? And that's heaps. That's those couple of moving bits there. Right. Even this one here rocks back and forwards a little bit. So just a slight. I'm talking one drop. Done. That's it. That's all you need. Don't go overboard with your oil and grease inside here. Alright, so that's that. I've cleaned these springs back up. They sit. Oh. Don't worry about me, they don't do anything. They sit one on there and one on there. That's all we're doing in here. I'm just going to sit that down. Inside of the handle side, just again get the scudge out. We can start now to clean the outside of the case as well. Right, you can see it's starting to be nice and shiny there on the outside. The inside all nice and shiny, cleaned up. You can see a bearing. Where are we focused? You can see a bearing in here. It's a separate bearing on the outside. So before we put this case back on, which we're up to now, again, I'm going to say it again, one drop. So we're going to put one drop in here, one drop in here, and then one drop here. Right, one drop, that's it. That's all you need. 100%. Alright, get that in there. That's absolutely all you need. Do not go any more than that. Actually just spilled a tiny little bit of oil. Telling you not to go overboard, and I'm spilling oil inside the casing. Look at that. Look at that. Get that oil out of there. Right, and that's how serious I am. I spilt a little bit of oil and I'm drying it up. Right. So one drop, and one drop on the outer bearing. That's it. I'm going to put this outer casing back on. So stand those springs up where they belong. All these springs do is push off the outer housing and push this device here up and down as part of your your free spool. That's everything for in here. Slide the case back on. I'm going to take it off camera to do this because I need to watch it to make sure I don't drop those springs or anything. Alright guys, I've got that clip down. The springs are trying to push it off. Actually pushed that bearing up. That's not a problem. I'm going to put the screws in just to hold it down while we clean the rest of the case. I would like to say that I've cleaned the screws too. That one in there. So the screws are back in. That's looking clean. That's holding that on. That's greased. That's that's oiled. That's oiled. Right. So now we're looking at cleaning the rest of the outside. Look at how filthy some of these bits are. So we're just cleaning at the moment. Look at that. Look, like chunks of calcification and stuff coming off it. That's terrible. Make sure you use real cleaner and just really get going to town on all that rubbish on the real seat, on the frame, just the works, right? I'd like to go the front, around the guide T-ring, so click it forward, on the T-wing, behind it, on top of it, everywhere you can get your cotton bud. So these grills in here, purely cosmetic. I really should try and get something that fits in there too. I'm trying to clean every bit of scudge off this reel. We've now scrubbed everywhere. We've got a small, very small screwdriver and scraped scudge out of the worm drive. That's the thing you can see in the front here. When you spin this, it's what guides your guide back and forwards, so that your line goes on your reel level. It's called a level wind and a worm drive. Well, that's what I know it as anyway. There's a bit of scudge in there, old grease and things. I've cleaned in here, in there. I've clicked it down, cleaned in the guide there, clicked it up. In here, in there, in there, in there, in there, in there, everywhere, right? Everywhere, with this and with the rag, right? All over. So we've cleaned the whole lot off. So everything should be looking good. Get our grease, right? So we get our grease and we get a tiny little squeeze just right in the bottom there. That's where your reel seats in. Right, bit of grease in that. That's heaps, all done. So at this point, we want to take our oil, and when you engage the spool, disengage the spool. This little thumb spool controller thing slides up and down. I don't know what it's called. Let's be honest, no idea what it's called, I just know how it works. As everything else we've worked on so far, one drop of oil. Just one drop of oil. There. And there. That's it. Nothing else. Right, just where that slides up and down. No more than that. Give it a couple of goes and wipe the excess off. Done. Right, that'll keep going for ages. We've done these already with a drop of oil each. Okay, so now we're at reassembly. Because when we put it to bits, we laid everything in order. We know this goes on first, and that's the top when we hold it like that, so that goes on like that. And that's as simple as it is. I just picked a bit of dirt up with it. I'll clean that off. Right, these bits I haven't cleaned, so I will actually just give them a wipe as I put them on. So wipe. You'll notice that everything that goes on here has a groove. The shaft isn't round, it's slotted, so just slot things on that away. That makes sense. This one here, it's a wipe. Right, so give that a wipe, slide it on there. This thing looks scudgy as, so I'm going to give it a clean. That went that way. Be very, very careful not to cross thread anything. You do not want to cross thread things. That is not a good day. You cross thread this shaft, it's off to someone to get a new shaft, and that's expensive and time consuming. It's nothing to really be afraid of. You just have to take your time to make sure you don't cross thread it. So there we go, done. You have to hold your level wind, because sometimes it just wants to spin. That will actually tighten with your drag. That shape actually fits inside the star, so that's fine. Going to give the spring a wipe. Spring all cleaned up. Slide the spring on. Sits inside that groove. Bang, drops straight into there. Star drag. I have not cleaned yet, and it is filthy, so I'm going to give it a clean. Look at the filth underneath there. Just, ugh. This reel is gross. Don't be like me. Prevent this stuff. Don't let your reels get this bad, guys. You can see how easy this would have been if I didn't have to spend ages cleaning it. If it was just a quick clean. It literally, you should do this often enough that you use like 2 or 3 of these at the most. I've used 2, 4, 6, 7, probably only use 8 or 9 by the time I'm done. Don't let your reels get this scudgy. It's not good for them. Now before I squeeze that on, the spring pushes that off, and the thing that holds that on is the nut over here that holds the handle on. So I'm going to clean that washer and the handle and the nut all in this turn, because I've got to put them all on at the same time. I'm going to oil the handles. I'm going to let you guys have a guess right now how many drops per handle you think we're going to have. Right, if you guessed anything more than 1 at this point in time, I don't think you've been listening. 1 drop, literally in there, right? 1 drop. 1 drop. Give him a spin. Give him a spin. Beautiful. Slide the star drag on. Now, as I said at the start, not all reels are the same. Some of them, the star drag actually has the thread built into it, and you literally just keep loosening off the drag and it will undo off. So it's the same process, except you don't have to have this extra step. The thread is built into your star drag. That little washer, directional because the shaft is not round. Handle and nut. Right, that holds everything on. Woo. Clean out the inside of the brake because there's actually a bit of scudge in there. Ugh, gross. that's done, and technically I probably should have put that on before I put the star drag on, just for ease, but you still get that on there, no worries, just like that. So it's your brake on. Got the brake on. Give the nut a tight, a slight tighten. Clean your locking tab, and you'll see if it's not right, it won't line up with that hole, but it does. Right, so it lines up with that hole. You take your screw and put it back in there. Careful not to drop it. Tighten that up. Whoa. And your handle's secure. Now, we're not quite finished with the service side of things. On this side, so they want 1 drop of oil each. You guessed it. 1. Right. It did look like 2 then, but it's because oil didn't come out. So they're done. And then we cleaned our worm drive on our level wind. It actually needs some grease. So squeeze, let's get the focus and the light right. Squeeze a bit of grease along there. Give it a wind. Let the level wind work back and forward. Now the bars, the actual bars that it slides along, not the worm drive itself, they need a drop of oil. And we're ready to put it back together. So the spool, there's a bearing on this end, so 1 drop of oil, line over the top. So if you've got your line on, you need to put your line back through first, like that. Push the spool in. Like that. Home stretch, guys. Give this bit a clean. Drop of oil on the bearing there. And done. In on that angle, slide it back up, do this up, and you're finished. Guys, I hope this has been helpful. It should make a difference and help the longevity of your reels. Look at how much nicer that looks than when we started. It's clean. So the battery just died. But look at that, guys. It is shiny. Still a little bit of residue on it because I'm using my old service rag. I'll give it a wipe down with a clean cloth and it'll look shiny and new and slick. It's going to last a whole lot longer. Like I said, probably recommended if you take your line off before doing it. I'm just gonna run my line through there. Oops, and thread my line through. Right, so while the camera was flat, I was just playing with the brake. It alters the rate the spool comes out like it's supposed to, so that's good. Clicks over, drag gets tighter with the drag, everything still works normal, which is great. It feels really smooth. Awkward doing this one on hand, but pull that out like, oh, pull my line back in, clicks itself over, runs smooth, feels great and looks good. All that scudge is out of it. The more you use it too after you've done a service, the grease will even out and sort of melt through, and you'll probably notice after half an hour of using it, that's when it'll be at its prime. But look at the difference that has made. This here, this plus what came out of the rag is what has come out of my reel. So that's pretty gross, to be honest, but how much better is the reel going to run with that not in it? Pretty good. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you've liked this one, don't forget, hit the like button, drop a comment. Love hearing from you guys. Also, if you haven't already, consider hitting the subscribe button to get more tips and to watch us catch some fish. And yeah, we do a bit of everything. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Can't even do that. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to fish every opportunity, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.